So, here, very interesting thing is written here in this book, Sapiens, The Brief History of Mankind by Yuval Noah Harari. So, let's see what he has written here. He writes that, in other words, the average forager had wider, deeper, and more varied knowledge of her immediate surroundings than most of her modern descendants. Today, most people in industrial societies don't need to know much about the natural world in order to survive. What do you really need to know in order to get by as a computer engineer, an insurance agent, a history teacher, or a factory worker? You need to know a lot about your own tiny field of expertise. So, this is important here, own tiny field of expertise that we need to know nowadays. But for the vast majority of life's necessities, you rely blindly on the help of other experts whose own knowledge is also limited to a tiny field of expertise. Now we are banking on other people for majority of life's necessities. The human collective knows the human collective knows far more today than did the ancient bands. But at the individual level, ancient foragers were the most knowledgeable and skillful people in the history. So what he's saying that our ancestors at individual level, they were more knowledgeable than us and more skillful than us. But what have changed that human collective, now we have a collective knowledge which is far better than our ancient counterparts, our ancestors. But now see, there is very interesting thing written here. He writes here that there is some evidence that the size of the average sapien brain has actually decreased since the age of foraging. Survival in that era required superb mental abilities from everyone. When agriculture and industry uh, came along, people could increasingly rely on the skills of others for survival. A new niche for imbeciles were opened up. You could survive and pass your unremarkable gene to the next generation by working as a water carrier or an assembly line worker. Foragers masters not only the surroundings world of animals, plants, and objects, but also the internal world of their own bodies and senses. They listened to the slightest movement in the grass to learn whether a snake might be lurking there. They carefully observed the foliage of trees in order to discover fruits, beehives, and bird nests. They moved with a minimum of effort and noise, and 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 knew how to sit, walk, and run in the most agile and efficient manner. Varied and constant use of their bodies made them as fit as marathon runners. They had physical dexterity that people today are unable to achieve even after years of practicing yoga or Tai Chi. The hunter gatherer's way of life differed significantly from the region to region and from season to season. But on the whole, foragers seem to have enjoyed a more comfortable and rewarding lifestyle than most of the peasants, shepherds, laborers, and office clerks who followed in their footsteps.